You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. More specifically, we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin's future, and I did not think we would have to talk about this after he rallied after those 3 horrible losses where people were starting to question Mike Tomlin's future. Would he possibly be traded? Could the Rooneys actually fire Mike Tomlin? This was all things that was being asked after 3 of the worst losses you had seen in a long time, and they were consecutive. It was Arizona, Patriots, Colts, and only the Colts looked like kind of a good team out of that bunch. It was an epic meltdown in what looked like a surefire playoff run, but Mike Tomlin, as he always seems to do, righted the ship, and not only righted the ship, but went 10-7 and made the playoffs. They play the Bills this weekend. But Adam Schefter, 2 days in a row now, has presented something rather interesting about Mike Tomlin that I did not see coming. And that's the idea that the Commanders are the Chargers, and we talked about the Commanders before, but that the Chargers might be interested in Mike Tomlin. But the more interesting part of this is that Mike Tomlin could pull a Sean Payton and just step away for a year. Literally, he might choose to just step away. And Schefter is saying that there are various people around the league that believe, and I guess know his situation, that he might want to step away, recharge his batteries a la Sean Payton, and then come back with somebody else. Let's listen to this.
We'll move on to another guy right now that there's been some speculation about, Mike Tomlin. People in Pittsburgh want him fired. They're not firing Mike Tomlin. But here's the thing that's interesting. He's got a year left on his contract. And there are some people around the league who believe that Mike Tomlin could decide eventually to take some time off, like Sean Payton did. Maybe take a year off. We'll see if that's something that's on his mind. We're leaning safe. But Mike Tomlin gets to dictate what happens here, not the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not firing him. He's staying on. But he's staying on if he wants to. If he decides that he'd like to walk, well, that's a different subject. And maybe there's a team out there. He's from Washington. His wife loves Los Angeles. Maybe one of them wants to lob a call into the Steelers to see if they could wind up doing something with him.
Wife intel.
And the other one, and they're coming.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting, and it's kind of surprising that all of a sudden that came out of nowhere. Well, today, Pat McAfee is on location out there in Houston for the national championship game, and Adam Schefter was there. He's a Michigan alum, and this came up again.
Talking about yesterday is just out of nowhere. We're hearing is Tomlin thinking about maybe going to another team? I'm hearing Commanders. I'm hearing his wife loves LA. I mean, a few weeks ago when things were going bad, yeah, there was talk about it, but that was, things are great now.
Oh my God, him with
10-7.
Herbert?
Yeah. Let's take it easy, okay?
Joey Bosa, Derwin James.
Oh yeah, because they've been great forever.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, like Sean Payton took a year off.
That worked out.
Worked in broadcasting and just kind of stepped back and then came back a year later and got a new deal from Denver, and it worked out pretty well for him. And I don't know what Mike Tomlin's going to do, but I can tell you there are people out there in the league who say that that's potentially an option, that after the season, maybe he could walk. What's interesting to me is when Pittsburgh went through the tough stretch that it did this year, and I noticed that when you post about the guy, like there's so much negativity towards him. So much negativity in Pittsburgh, and I think he's much more respected.
That guy dressed up
half of it's this guy right here.
That was only Matt Canada.
Only Matt Canada.
And he deserved it.
But you're telling me that city?
Let me tell you what happened.
Appreciates Mike Tomlin?
Can I tell you as an observer and a reporter?
No.
Can I tell you as an observer and a reporter?
Yeah.
I think Mike Tomlin backing Matt Canada there for a few weeks, which I think he felt obligated to hire this guy to be the offense coordinator publicly. I got to take a stand for my guy, which is how Tomlin has always operated. I think the people that were on Tomlin's side still in Pittsburgh, they were like, all right, we can't with this guy sticking up for this. Like, it's the same old, same old. So then when Tomlin makes the move, I think he won a lot of people back. I think there was a lot of people in Pittsburgh that were like, Tomlin made a move that he would have never made a couple years ago. The Steelers have never made. So I think there is a Tomlin support group that was potentially lost and then found again in this particular season.
Well, and then they did, and they beat the Bengals that one game, and then it got real bad with Mitch in the 2 games against New England and the Patriots. New England and the Cardinals. And Stephen A. said it on this show earlier today, like, we haven't won a playoff game since 2017. And, like, that's a really long time in Pittsburgh to not, one, win a playoff game or to be in a Super Bowl. So I think Pittsburgh respects the hell out of Mike Tomlin, respects all the coaches, and respects that he's been there forever, and the winning record, and never have a lose, respects all of it. But they're just tired of the mediocrity.
Well,
okay, and that's the thing that came up in all this was, number one, and I was doing some research on this because there's starting to be some talk about what is it going to take to re-sign Mason Rudolph. Who would have thought we'd be saying that? But the fact that the Steelers are staring at a situation where they haven't won a playoff game since 2016 with Big Ben. It's been that long. Now, obviously, Tomlin either goes 500 or has a winning record, and he does make the playoffs, but it's one Super Bowl. He's been to another. There's been success, but it's been a while. We're talking 8 years now since there's been a playoff win. Now, oddly enough, I think the Bills are playing. It feels like the Bills are playing down, even though they won last night and they won their division. It just feels like the Bills are playing down. So I wonder if the Steelers have an opportunity this weekend to maybe get off the playoff schneid, actually, if they play Mason Rudolph. There's some Kenny Pickett rumors going around right now, and I just don't know if that's a good idea or not. But Josh Allen's scoring a ton of touchdowns, but he's turning the ball over a lot. And he's not looked real sharp, and that's what can be a pretty good Pittsburgh defense at times. So some people are wondering, is that an opportunity for Tomlin to get off the schneid? But it was just a few weeks ago we were talking about the idea of him doing something else or the Steelers moving on. Now, Florio came out and said, well, Tomlin's already making some decisions involving the Steelers for their next season, right? And so you would think if he's having any ideas or thoughts of stepping away, he wouldn't be making any of those decisions. The Rooneys are not firing him. He's not getting fired. But all of a sudden, it's popping up 2 days in a row from Adam Schefter. People around the league, it's starting to percolate that Mike Tomlin might just decide to step away for a year and pull a Sean Payton, maybe go into TV or something like that. And that his wife loves L.A. and would like to go out there, the Chargers. I mean, that he wouldn't be able to wait for that. If he wants to go to the Chargers or the Commanders, it's going to have to be as soon as this season's over. And word has it, Josh Harris would like to talk to Mike Tomlin, but I don't know that that's going to be a possibility. You know, there's even been percolations that the Patriots might want to talk to Mike Tomlin. But, you know, I think that's really was sort of coming out when during that tailspin, and then they corrected the ship and got back on track. But that's odd that this is popping up all of a sudden. Boom. He might just decide to step away for a year and come back, I guess, in the 2025 season, a la Sean Payton. You want to talk about an eyebrow raiser out of nowhere, a shocker. Adam Schefter not only saying it yesterday, but coming back on the Pat McAfee show and saying it again today. He's hearing that from somebody around the league, or somebody's, he said, people around the league that know that situation. Well, then somebody is saying they've heard it in and around Tomlin, you know, that he might decide to just step away. That's one of the more surprising stories we've had in the last couple of weeks, because we thought the coaching thing with the Steelers had stabilized. Maybe not. Wow. Crazy. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.